YouTube? Odinson here with another manga review. I will be looking at One Piece chapter 856 today. I read it over last night and I've read it a few times today, and I thought it was a good chapter. It wasn't nearly as exciting as last week, of course, but it was probably necessary to just have a chapter like this in the middle of an arc before, the hype chapters begin, because I think unless they like really throw us for a loop, then in the next one or two chapters we're gonna finally get to see the wedding ceremony, so it makes sense to have like a kind of chill chapter here. Yeah, so from the beginning, it started with the whole gang in the mirror world trying to discuss like where they think that Luffy might be, where Sanji might be, because all the mirrors are like, yeah, I haven't seen them. I haven't seen them in days. I haven't seen Master Sanji in a while. And Nami remembers like, oh, the where they fought this morning, because Luffy had said that he wasn't going to leave that spot until he ate the food. So she realized that like he's probably crazy enough to actually go back there. And so then they talked about Peckham's. We find out that Peckham's is alive. Last time we saw Peckham's, he was like shot off a cliff. So it's cool to hear that he's doing well. I like Peckham's personally. I feel like a lot of people do not like him very much, and I understand where they're coming from, because he's like not that great of a character. But I think that it's cool to have a mink and someone who relates to the Big Mom Pirates and isn't necessarily a bad guy. It might be an interesting twist if he turns out to be a bad guy, but he was involved in some plot with Capone, and it clearly didn't end up going well for him. He was shot off this cliff, but it's good to know that he's alive and he's doing well. So then we flash over to Bobbin, who is not in good shape right now. He was shot. I don't know who shot him. In last week's review, I was saying like I wasn't sure what he was gonna do. Like he could have done some cool stuff, but I guess he got cut off by those shadowy figures that we see, and he got shot. It's interesting how much they're using like gunslingers in this arc. In the past arcs, we haven't seen characters getting shot quite as much, so I don't know if this... It has to be related to pudding in some way, like these special bullets, this kind of gun, it has to be something regarding the pudding situation. Unless it goes completely in the other direction and we see that like the Revolutionary Army is here or something, but it has to be related to pudding in some way. But Bobbin got shot, and he's... he has his giant sword that's like the size of him, and he's like trying to walk, saying like, oh, these guys. And so he goes down, and then we flash over to the Vinsmokes. They're not drunk, so Big Mom's plan didn't really work out. They're super genetic humans, so alcohol doesn't really affect them all that much. And they're saying like, cheers to the failure, to Sanji, to the dud. And it was kind of good scene, of all of them being overly cocky, and they're going to learn soon. They're going to learn that he is not a dud soon. I'll touch on that point in a minute. But so Sanji finally makes it to the spot that Luffy's looking all pruny. He's looking like basically like he's going to die. And he brings this bento box that he made. It has all of their favorite foods in it. And Luffy is so appreciative of this food. He's eating this wet, soggy, gross food and saying how delicious it is and how amazing it is. And Sanji's like, don't lie to me. Like, this is soggy, it's gross, this is terrible. And he just won't stop saying how good it is. And I thought that was a really cool kind of flashback, of course, to Sanji when he would make food for his mom. And like he knew that he wasn't a good cook at that point. Like the food looked bad. It like was really bad food, but she would always put up this front like, no, it's delicious, honey. Like it's perfect because you made it. So it was a nice like throwback to that moment. and kind of what Luffy means to him now. And yeah, it was just a nice moment. And then so Sanji decides to go over the 3 reasons why he can't go back to the ship, and it's basically, I disrespected you, I punched you, I well clearly didn't punch him. I kicked you with like all of my strength. To a bunch of the guys back in East Blue are being held hostage because of me. Zeph and all of them. So I can't go back because I hit you, disrespected you. These people are being held hostage because of me, and my family they're plotting to kill my family. And while my family are a bunch of like terrible people who I don't care about, like I have to save them. Like morally, I have to. And he goes through all this, and he's looking all serious, and Luffy reacts by just punching the crap out of Sanji, and Sanji like blasts into the weird corpse of King Bomb that's been sitting there, and it was a very Luffy reaction to that kind of thing. And so then Sanji basically is just talking about like, I really cannot go back, and I don't know what to do. I really want to go back to the Sunny, but like I can't just leave my family to die, even though they're terrible. I can't, kill off the hostage. I don't know what to do. And Luffy's like, yeah, I think the exact quote is like, that's just you, like that's who you are. Like, you are a good person. You can't leave your family. You can't allow like Zeph and all of your old friends to die because of you. You can't make this happen. But also, like, you don't have to do this by yourself, and we together as a freaking crew can find a way to make this work, And so he's like, he has this big smile in the final panel, and it's really a beautiful panel of just, let's wreck this wedding together, And I thought that was a cool way to end this, and especially if we transition right into the wedding going into next chapter. So as far as this chapter goes, I said that it wasn't like my favorite chapter. Sanji breaking down again. I didn't really need that because I mean he broke down 3 chapters ago and cried in the rain, and that was a nice moment. It was like, okay, cool. He's finally showing some emotions. He actually cares about all this. I was able to like give that one a pass, and all the people were so mad that Sanji would ever dare cry, that a man would ever dare cry. But it was like, okay, let's like break down gender roles for a second, and let's actually have like a strong male character crying. I was all about it. But for him to cry again in front of Luffy right now, it was like, do we really need him to cry again? Like, sure, I guess he's trying to play him to be really emotional right now, which makes sense. But I could have seen it going in a few other ways. That's what I was going to get at earlier. I think that maybe he's trying to, like, Oda is trying to show him as being like this very emotionally wrecked character, hopefully to then in the next chapter, 2 chapters, whatever, with the wedding, actually bring out old school badass Sanji. Like I want to see old school badass Sanji, and I want to see him soon, okay? Because I'm getting tired of him like losing the fights to Judge and then losing the fights to Ichiji and just getting wrecked. Like, he's like, I'm far from a Zoro fanboy. I do really like Zoro for how cool he is. I think that he's clearly one of the best characters in the entire series. But I always had some notion that Sanji was just a little like better. Not that if they fought 1-on-1, Sanji would win. But just that Sanji had like more of a mysterious vibe to him. I didn't know what he was all about. Like, I thought he was such a cool character, and he needs to go back to being that, and he needs to do it soon, or else I'm kind of over it. But I mean, overall, with that one drawback, you know, it wasn't a very exciting chapter, but I think that it was a good chapter for this moment. I'm not gonna give it like a low score for not being super exciting, especially in the wake of all of these like incredibly, you know, exciting chapters. So I would say like a 4.3, 4.4 kind of chapter. Like, it didn't have any big like negatives, but since it wasn't that like amazing of a chapter, I don't want to give it a really high score, but it doesn't have any reason for it to be like a 3.9 or anything like that. So okay, well, hey YouTube, if you liked the content, please like. If you disliked it, then dislike so that I can do better next time. If you liked it though, please subscribe. Thanks.